Welcome back. This channel is geared toward young men who find today's society confusing. Previously, I discussed that seeking external validation leads to a loss of power. Allowing others to define you will lead to a loss of power. Powerful men never allow others to define them. These men are comfortable with who they are and are relentless in defining themselves. Men who have power know who they are as a man. They form their own opinions based on their personal experience. While they may listen to others in order to learn, they will never listen to others in order to conform to a life that is not in their best interest. Men of power think for themselves and choose to live their lives based on what is in their best interest. They do not live their lives in order to satisfy a narrative created by others. Men of power know that these false narratives take away their power and give it to those that create these narratives. Shaming. There are many ways to manipulate men in society, and a common technique is to shame men. One common way is the prevalence of real men memes throughout the internet. A man must understand and recognize shaming tactics when these tactics are used against him. The purpose of these tactics is to manipulate a man into a behavior or course of action that is not in his best interest. Real men memes on the internet is a typical example of such shaming tactics. The content of many of these memes is to provide a course of action that a man must take or an attitude that a man must hold that is sacrificial in nature. There is often little or no reward for such actions and attitudes except the knowledge of living up to an image of what it is to be a man that society no longer appreciates or rewards. It is therefore necessary for a man that desires power not to be defined by these shaming tactics. Labeling. Intellectually lazy people will desperately try to label a person so as to make quick judgments about them instead of taking the time to get to know that person as an individual. A man of power never considers such labels valid. Labeling is a way of discounting the valid opinions of people. Men of power never submit to the label of others, nor do they label others. A man of power might categorize different people based on his interactions with those people in order to determine qualifications, aptitudes, and abilities, such as a coach evaluating potential players in a tryout. The coach does not label players, but determines qualifications for the best fit for the team. People in organizations often have to evaluate subordinates, but this is a thoughtful examination based on extended observation, not a label based on a quick glance. An excellent example of labeling is when presidential candidate Hillary Clinton called the vast majority of Donald Trump's supporters deplorables during the election of 2016. In one speech, she labeled people who did not support her racist, misogynist, sexist, homophobes, and other labels. This was designed both to shame the supporters of Donald Trump and to make her supporters feel better about who they are. Never allow anyone who resorts to labeling to manipulate or influence your behavior. It is impossible to have a rational debate with the person that resorts to labeling, so it is wise to never engage in debates with such people. Be very careful with such people in work environments and minimize interactions with these people as much as possible. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Eleanor Roosevelt. Always remember that as a man, it is your reaction to those that want to shame, label, or define you that determines whether or not you acquire and maintain power. If you believe them and you adjust your behavior and attitudes because of such tactics, you will lose power. If you recognize these techniques for what they are and continue down your chosen path, you will maintain power. People that use these techniques against you actually do you a favor. They show that they are never to be trusted and therefore can never deceive you. Keep those people that try to use these manipulating tactics at a distance if it is not possible to remove them from your life. It is important for a man to recognize when others, including society, seek to define him. Once a man understands this, he will be able to resist the pressures to change his behavior in order to live up to a definition that will suit others instead of him. A man of power lives up to his own code and values. You are the only person who should define who you are. Never allow anyone else to define who you are, because to do so will cause you to lose power. Be sure to subscribe to this channel. Thanks for listening.